had it all queued up because this is what it was supposed to sound like when we came back from break.
It is a good song. The middle of the song is still pretty good, though. It doesn't get you as fired up as the beginning, though.
Yeah, the drums is where the money's at. So, my apologies to you, sir.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to the listeners.
Okay, millionaires are being made all season long at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site. One-week fantasy means no season-long commitments. Play whenever you want. Got a player who's hurt? No problem. Injuries won't derail your shot at victory because it's like a new season every week, so you're never stuck with the same players. Pick your team in minutes, and you could be on your way to winning huge cash. This season, one listener turned $10 into $5,000, another turned $2 into $10,000, and a new millionaire has been crowned nearly every week this season at DraftKings.com. You could be next. Imagine winning $1 million in one day just playing fantasy football at DraftKings. Head to DraftKings.com now and use promo code Spreaker to play free in the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championships. DraftKings.com. Bigger events, bigger winnings, bigger millionaires. Enter Spreaker now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Awesome. Well, we are back here on the Bob Sullivan Show. If you'd like to call in, the number's 585-633-7487. I'm going to be joined here momentarily by Jacob Padilla, and actually Jacob on the phone right now. Jacob, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you, Bob?
I'm doing fantastic. Jacob is of the Craytonian and BrightSideOfTheSun.com. Jacob, looking at tonight's game for Creighton, beating Chicago State pretty easily, 84-66. Right now, 2-0. We got Oklahoma coming up, number 19. Looking at Creighton right now, what has impressed you so far in the post-Doug McDermott era?
Hey, Bob. Sorry, it's a few minutes late. I just had to get my story written up and run home. So get that up online at Craytonian.com if listeners want to check that out. So far, what's impressed me is just the depth of the team and the way they've been playing together. We've seen several different guys have big impact so far through the first couple of games, and including the exhibition as well. That Austin Chapman, Devin Brooks, Toby Hegner, Will Arpino, Rick Krecklow, all these guys have, Isaiah Zierden, all those guys have hit double figures in at least one of the games so far. So, and Coach McDermott has talked about how that is their identity this year. They don't have the one guy that's going to give you 25 points a night, but they do have several different guys that can step up and score 20 in any given game.
How problematic is it? I noticed in the first game, it's like, somebody gets hot. It feels like they don't really know who to go to at certain points in the game. It's, they're unselfish, but it seems like occasionally, like when Zierden starts to heat up or Milligan started to heat up, the ball didn't find them at times when, you'd ideally like a player when they're heating up to keep getting the ball. Have you noticed any other problems like that?
Well, they have, again, Coach McDermott has talked about that as well, how they're still trying to kind of flesh that out. Again, last year with Doug McDermott, you knew who was getting the ball when the other team was going on a run and you hadn't scored in a few possessions. You were going to give the ball to Doug and something good was going to happen. They don't know who that guy is this year, and most likely it's not going to be one guy. It's going to be game-by-game basis. Coach McDermott talked about that in the post-game press conference today. And again tonight, what you're talking about, they actually did a good job of that. Isaiah Zierden got up 9 threes tonight, went 4 of 9 from 3, 6 of 12 overall for 18 points. And then Will Arpino had a big game too, and they kept giving him the ball, 20 points, 8 rebounds. Toby Hegner had a big game, and he even turned down a 3 at one point to pass off and get the ball into Will because he knew he had it going and Will had a good steal inside. So I think we're starting to see that come together a little bit. But, again, that's kind of the trade-off of having a deep team like this with no proven first option.
With Devin Brooks, he's a way better rebounder than people give him credit for. 10 rebounds tonight. Also to go along with 6 points. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Rebounding is by far his best trait. That's his biggest strength. For a 6'2" guard to rebound like he does, it's just amazing. The way he kind of shoots up in the middle of the trees to rip the ball out of the air, the timing he has, strength in his hands, it's just incredible to watch him go rebound the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, to go along with 6 points and 6 assists, he always has a couple moments during games where it's like, no, Devin, no. But over you kind of need, every team needs a guy. Ideally, you'd like to have that kind of guy off the bench like he did last year. He pushed into the starting role this year, 2 for 10. What does Devin, in your opinion, need to pick it up on, shooting wise? What's the problem with him shooting like tonight?
I think tonight was more or less just bad game. Devin, I've seen Devin shooting around in practice. I saw the work he put in this summer, and we saw that. And from what I heard in the secret scrimmage and from the exhibition game, you saw him hit threes. His shot was looking really good. The last couple of games he struggled a little bit, but I think again it was just kind of a bad 2-game stretch. I think he's definitely going to be better. We're going to need to see him step it up, especially coming up on Wednesday. If he goes 0 for 5 again, then they've got no shot against Oklahoma. And my friend texted me at halftime, said, "Oh, Devin Brooks had a triple-double alert." He was pretty close. He had like six points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, something like that, 6, 5, 4. And then we didn't see much of it in the second half, but he's the kind of guy that's capable of putting up a triple-double in any given game because of how good of a rebounder he is, how well he can make plays for others, and then obviously he can get to the basket himself. So I think I'm expecting a big game for him against Oklahoma. I think he's really going to step up to the challenge of playing against the Oklahoma guards. They've got some really good players. Buddy Hield tonight went up 25 points, hit 7-7 from 3. So you're going to need some big performances from guys like Brooks.
How much do you think they're going to struggle? 22 of 27 from the line. They're going to have to. It feels like against the good teams. I mean, you could say that in any situation, you need to get to the free throw line. But how important for this team in particular is it to get more free throw attempts than the other team with how good a free throw shooting team this is?
Again, that's another thing that Coach McDermott hit on today. I think that might have been more in the pregame interview you did on the radio, but they've got some guys this year, whereas last year it was more Doug drew some fouls with his off-ball movement and trying to post up and come to the basket. This year they've got guys who can take their defenders off the dribble, get to the basket, and draw contact. We've seen Ricky Krecklow. He's been getting to the line in his first couple games, 8 attempts in the first game, 6 attempts tonight. Devin Brooks obviously can get in the paint, draw contact. Chapman's really quick. He can get in there. And I think last couple games, the Creighton just outmatched the opponent physically, skill-wise, talent. And so I don't necessarily expect to see 25, 30 free throw attempts in every game like we saw in these first 2. But they definitely do have to get to the line to get some extra points because they're not going to hit as many threes. That's something they struggled with a little bit in the first 2 games. They haven't shot a great percentage, but Coach McDermott, he expects that to pick up a little bit. This hasn't been the way they've been shooting in the exhibition, in the game against Iowa, and over the summer and the fall. So he expects them to be a good team, but you're not going to be as good as they were last year with Doug and Raggi hitting such a high percentage. So you're going to have to find ways to get those extra points that you trade off. And the free throw line is one area I think we're going to see these guys take advantage of this year.
Isaiah Zierden it's a shame he's not like 6'5", because if he was 6'5", he'd probably be the best player in the country. He needs a little bit more. As a smaller guy, needs a little bit more room, to get off his shot. But 18 points tonight. Played well in the opener. How important is guys like him and Milliken coming off the bench, against an Oklahoma, against a Nebraska down the line, and then into Big East play? Do you think either one of these two winds up moving into the starting lineup before any of those games, or do you think that they're best suited coming off the bench?
Before the season started and just going to practices and things like that, I thought maybe splitting up Chapman and Brooks, putting Isaiah with Brooks off the bench, and maybe starting Milliken alongside Chapman would kind of balance out the front courts pretty well. You've got one guy who's pretty steady with the ball, the other guy a little bit more dynamic, more of a scorer. But that's not the way Coach McDermott decided to go with, and it's been working out really well so far. Those two coming off the bench, Zierden and Milliken, has been one of the biggest strengths of this team so far. That's a lot of firepower you've got coming. You sit down, your senior point guard, and Devin Brooks is just a dynamic player, but you sit those guys down, and then you're bringing in two more players that can really light it up. So that's going to be the guard court. I think is going to be one of the strengths of this team this year. And they talked about how this team is going to be more guard driven as opposed to last year. You're focusing on the big men. And Zierden's he's been playing really well. It's a great story. Last year, he revealed after the last game. Nobody I don't think has. He hasn't told this. He didn't tell anybody this before, but the initial diagnosis was that he might not play again after he dislocated his kneecap last year. And to see him come back and look as good as he has is just an awesome thing. He had 18 points tonight, like I said, 4 of 9 from 3. And he was one of the leading scorers at 16 points in the first game as well. So right now, Zierden's right there with Arquino as the team's leading scorer, and he's shooting 50% from 3, 7 of 14 in the first 2 games. So he's starting to become the player that fans thought they were going to get when he committed. He struggled a bit last year with his 3-point shooting. His release was a little bit slow, and he wasn't shooting a high percentage. But now he looks more confident when he's releasing. He's knocking it down. He's hitting mid-range shots, and overall he's just so smart. And that's every time you ask Mac about Isaiah Zierden, that's what he's gonna go to is the intelligence. Obviously, coach, son of a coach. That's such a cliche, but it really applies in this case. He's been around the game his whole life, and he just knows how to play.
It seems like every good team kind of needs that, the son of a coach on the team, kind of a guy who knows not only what a coach expects, but also, it feels like he just knows he's a high basketball IQ, and cliche, but looking at, Leon Gilmore, not too many minutes the first 2 games. Do you expect that to continue, or do you see Gilmore getting more time as the season goes on as a freshman?
I don't. At this point, I'm not expecting big things from Leon. He's number 11 on the depth chart, and you're just not going to play 11 guys most days. I think the team felt with maybe Ricky Krecklow's injury history and with Avery already being hurt, they needed that guy, and he could bring you something that's different from a lot of the other guys. The 4 spot is their weakest spot, with Toby Hegner being the only true power forward on the roster. And that's Gilmore's only 6'7" or so, but skill set wise and the way he plays, that's the spot he's going to play. And so I think decision to let him play this year is kind of in case they need him, he can bring something a little bit different from the guys that are already playing. But right now the rotation seems pretty set with those with Krecklow kind of playing the 3 and the 4, and a few minutes of the bigs together potentially if they face a bigger team. So I'm not expecting big things from Leon this year, but again, he's a freshman. true freshman, and we'll have to see how he develops as the season